The world's largest food processing companies just reached a multi-million-dollar settlement after claims that it discriminated against Muslim employees. JBS Swift and Company will pay up to $5.5 million to settle a lawsuit that claimed the meatpacking company discriminated against Muslim employees at its beef processing plant in northern Colorado. According to the lawsuit filed by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in a federal court in Denver in 2010, the plant in Greeley refused breaks for prayers or breaking of the Ramadan fast, and it disciplined about 300 workers who were Muslim immigrants from Somalia more severely than their counterparts. Joining me now to discuss this major settlement is Jailani Hussein. He is the executive director of the Minnesota branch of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Jailani, thank you so much for joining me. What does this settlement mean for working class laborers who are disproportionately Black, immigrant, and Muslim?
It means a lot. Thank you for having me. It really means a lot. And this case has been going on for over a decade now. It's a case that many people have been following, and there have been very similar situated cases settled and are still being settled today. Fortunately for this families, they waited this long to get a settlement. But it sends a strong message that religious freedom is going to be something that the administration cares about, and most importantly, that this is not going to be tolerated. And again, this predominantly Somali immigrants who work in many similar situated factories across this country, especially in the heartland, who are there just having an opportunity to work, but also to adhere to their religious practice. And in this particular case, they were even denied bathroom breaks. Some of them wanted to use their bathroom breaks to go and pray, and they did not have clean places to pray. And so this settlement goes to not only provide monetary, but to change policy. And in addition to that, to also allow for those who want to be rehired to be rehired, even though it's been so long that this case has been going on.
The lawsuit mentions the employees at the food processing plant had to endure harassment during prayers. The water fountains were shut off during Ramadan, and vulgar laced verbal jabs were thrown at them. When we hear these kinds of stories, when we hear about these kind of workplace tactics, how prevalent is this?
Sadly to say, it's very prevalent. We're seeing this across the country. We're seeing it now, particularly in management changes. When there's a new management changes, oftentimes refusing people to be allowed to pray, and even though they were allowed to pray before that. So that's something we're seeing. It's pretty prevalent. We're also seeing the targeting of Black Muslims, particularly Black immigrant Muslims who work in these environments. But they are very resilient, hardworking, and hats off to many of them who fought, who stayed in, who demanded their rights. And now, 10 years plus later, they can be part of history in ensuring freedom of religion is a bedrock of this country. And companies like who many of us are customers to need to be waking up and realizing the working conditions and the type of religious violations that are happening across this country. And we really all need to be alert to these kind of corporations who are silencing and harassing their employees and denying their religious rights.
Organizations like CAIR are at the forefront of trying to fight for this type of outcome, to create more justice, to create more equal rights for Muslims around the United States, to be sure. What are some of the big issues that you see being faced by Muslims in the workplace nowadays? Obviously, we have this case, but there seem to be others that are emerging, some really significant ones.
Well, I think, CAIR Minnesota and all of the CAIR chapters across the country, we still see employment discrimination as predominantly one of the largest segment of our caseload. And discrimination at work is coming from individual harassment that are being ignored by HR. We're seeing it also happening in the corporate world sometimes, where you may not be denied the right to pray, but you're punished by not attending certain meetings, especially on Friday prayer, where many Muslims have to observe and go to Friday prayers. You may not be denied the right to pray, but then you might be punished indirectly. And so there are all types of discrimination we're seeing. The Muslim community is fighting hard, and CAIR and all the CAIR chapters are doing what we can. But we also believe that it's important that corporations across this country really talk about inclusion practices and include that. So at CAIR Minnesota, we offer trainings to corporations around diversity and inclusion to be proactive on how to make sure that Muslims are welcome and in the corporate office, but also on the factory line. And that's critical, that we don't want to resolve issues through legal matters, but also do it through proactive efforts.
That sounds great. That's the work that needs to be done, not just for Muslims, but for all people around the country. But certainly Muslims and Black Muslims bear so much of the brunt of the type of discrimination that you're talking about. Jelani Hosseini, thank you so much for joining me. We'll be certainly having you back soon to talk more about the latest efforts around the country to protect Muslims from various forms of workplace injustice.